Hi guys, this is Professor Spikeston. I wanted to run you guys through some of your persuasive speech requirements. Most of you have already had access to this. It's in your Click and Read This weekly folders, lecture folders, in your module section. If you're viewing this only from a mobile device, you may not be seeing the Click and Read This module headers because Canvas does not show the modules from the mobile view. So that is something you'll need to access from your laptop or desktop computer. However, we've seen these persuasive speech requirements for a while. I wanted to run you through more of the presentation side of things, so we're going to skip what is here at the top right now. So we do know that this is a 5 to 7 minute speech. We've got your purpose statements at the top. This is all in the selection. Here's where we want to start. So in this speech, you have a minimum of 1 statistic, 1 testimony, and 1 quotation. That's required, but you have to have a total of 6 sources minimum, and ideally about 8 sources for this speech if you're doing it right. But 6 minimum and 1 statistic, 1 testimony, and 1 quotation. In this 5 to 7 minute speech where you're going to have all these sources, you do also have to have 3 visual aid mediums. So one can be a PowerPoint or a poster, one can be a video, and the other one could be a physical object. Now these are just examples, not actual requirements. You don't have to have a PowerPoint presentation. But a couple of things. When you are picking your 3 different mediums, they need to be listed in your outline. So if you submitted your outline without listing where you were using your visual aids, go back, plug them in just so that I know where to expect them. If you choose to do a video, it needs to be limited to about 30 seconds. We are here to hear you speak. We are not here to hear the work of other individuals for your entire 5 to 7 minutes. I've had students try to use 3-minute videos as part of a 5 to 7 minute speech, and they only spoke for 2 minutes. Well, who really did the speaking here? Was it the student or was it the person who made the video? So unless you are the creator of the video, don't use it in your speech more than 30 seconds. Some other examples of visual aid mediums: you can use graphs, word art decision trees, photographs, movies, videos, physical objects, handouts, brochures, flyers, postcards, Google Slides. You got lots of different options. Now keep in mind that if you choose from that list, 3 of the same type do not equate to 3 of the different mediums, that requirement. So if you bring in 3 photographs, that's not 3 mediums, that's 3 photographs. That is the same exact medium type. So face-to-face students, if you're using a Google Slides presentation or a PowerPoint, you need to upload it to your outline. It doesn't matter if you didn't do it by the time the date of your outline was due. Just go ahead and add it before the date of your speech. That way I can easily pull it up and minimize time lost between presentations. If you are an online student and you're using a Google Slides or presentation or a PowerPoint, you need to upload it with your speech video submission so that I can have access to it as well. Typically speaking, when we photograph from a distance, and some of you are using a laptop, some of you actually have access to a projection screen at your work or if you're at a high school classroom, I can't typically see what's actually on there. So in order to assess what's on your PowerPoint and your visual aid requirement on the rubric, you just need to upload that when you upload your speeches. Put it in the comments, put it in a separate document. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's on there. When using source information, you need to state your source information in your speech and on your slides. So we've already covered this in prior lectures where you need to verbally state your sources. So like according to the October 2017 Times Magazine article, 60% of the U.S. population is overweight. You need to say that, but it also needs to be included in the body of your outline and on your presentation as well if you're using a PowerPoint. Images must have sources listed at the bottom. Most of us are copying and pasting images from Google Images, and that is bad practice to get into. You need to give credit where credit is due. Graphs also need sources listed. A lot of graphs will already have these things listed in the image itself. If it's not there, you need to provide it in parentheses. Everything should always be in APA format. We're going to click this example in a second, but I wanted to run through a couple of things with you. First, there should be no title slide. You start with a blank screen. You also need to have blank slides between your actual content slides so that you aren't hanging up on a screen long after you're done with that point. Go to a black screen in between. They are not taking furious notes, copying every word for word down. So you don't need it to just linger up there for your entire speech. Some people like to put an image up at the very beginning of their speech, and that image is still up there at the end of their speech. That is too long and becomes an ineffective visual aid. The next thing we have is the 6x6 rule, and we're going to see this in our example PowerPoint. No more than 6 lines per slide, no more than 6 words per line, so a maximum of 36 words per slide. Many of you are still into high school mode where you try to cram as much as you can onto a single PowerPoint slide as you can because that's what you thought was good. You were getting your information there. That is not effective. It is visually very crowded. Your audience doesn't know where to look or what to do. Like, just create another slide if you've got more information. Don't try to cram it onto one. So we go by the 6x6 rule. No more than 6 lines per slide, no more than 6 words per line. That includes any lines that you use for citation. So if you have an image and a statistic on the same slide, that's going to take up 2 lines out of your 6 lines. So your focus needs to be on the visuals, not on your audience reading the slide. So let's take a look at what this looks like, if this will bring it up. I'm not sure it's going to bring it up on the mobile device. We're using a recording app right now. If it doesn't, you guys can certainly access it. It simply shows you, let's see, did it open it in another? It did not. That's okay. I might be able to show it to you this way. Give me a second. Let's open up. We'll be resourceful here. So you guys should be able to see this. You're going to start off your PowerPoint. You want to make sure you can see the notes section down here. The notes section gives you some additional information. First screen will be blank, and the only thing that's on here right now is just a reminder that it should be a blank slide. This is an example of a slide meeting the 6x6 rule requirements. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines total. We have 2 words, 2 words, 4 words. Everyone meets the 6 words per line rule as well. We then have a blank slide in between before we get to our next slide. This includes a statistic and a picture, both of which have a source citation. So this slide abides by the 6x6 rule, the image citation rule, and the statistic requirement. Both the citation and the image are cited separately. This is a completely made-up statistic, although probably not too far off from the truth. This image was pulled from pexels.com, which I highly recommend. It is should be in your outline as well. Highly recommend Pexels for high quality HD photos, but you need to cite who the actual digital author photographer was and make sure that your text is big enough to be read from the back of the room. So my own wording up here, the summary of the statistic, the made-up statistic, the source for that statistic, along with an image source down here that just says image source and gives credit to the original digital photographer. This image itself came from Pexels. Pexels is a great website. This is what it is right here for finding high quality images. So let's say that you are going to be talking about water safety and we want, say, a photo of a lifeguard for a high quality image. These keep things visually interesting for people. Some of these might be better uses than others. When it comes to what you need, you want a lot of blank space so that you have space to put in your text. You don't want it to be too crowded of an image, like this one right here is probably not a good idea because it's going to be very crowded when you try to put it onto a slide. But if you're talking about water safety, this one would also be inappropriate for the speech. But if you're talking about water safety, this might be something you want, or perhaps you want a photo of the ocean. All of these are completely free for both commercial and usually private uses. So you might pull some ocean photos as well, get some high quality ones. Your other option is to pull images from images.google.com. The only problem with this is that sometimes it may be tricky to find what you need. So let's do stray cat overpopulation. So we're going to get a lot of images. Now sometimes the source is right down here. However, sometimes, like ASPCA, is going to be a credible source here for an image. Sometimes you'll notice that it'll say Pinterest instead, and if you happen to get a quote-unquote Pinterest source, what you need to do is go find the original source other than Pinterest. Don't put image credit Pinterest. That doesn't work. Pinterest is a place, it's like saying Facebook is where I found my information. Okay, well, where was Facebook citing that information? It'll show you kind of here, and if you need to go to Pinterest to find whatever it is that you're looking for, all right? This was one that I pulled up earlier in a face-to-face class. Don't cite this as Pinterest. This is the graph that I actually used in your example PowerPoint right here. This image is pulled from the source with no additional text added. I literally just put the graph and then the image citation and we're good. This says Pinterest up here in the top URL, but when I mouse over, it tells me it is actually Dr. Sarah Pisano. Oh, let's go back. drsarahpisano.org. And when I look up Dr. Sarah Pisano, it turns out that she is a extremely well-credentialed veterinarian, went to Columbia and had some nice Ivy League schools on her list. She's been a veterinarian for decades. So this works just fine. Okay? So if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, we will get you taken care of.